It's that time of year. Lights by the windows, Christmas caroling by the neighbors, roast chicken or turkey to eat. Presents. Lots and lots of presents, especially for the kiddies. Santa Claus and his winter wonder sleigh. Yep, it is Christmas season, the season to be jolly. And in the spirit of Christmas, today I will be listing some of my favorite Christmas episodes from some of my favorite TV shows, and in no real particular order. Right, without any further ado, let's get straight into the festivities and look at some of the most memorable Christmas TV episodes from years gone by. Batman the Animated Series, Christmas with the Joker. This will forever be the one episode of Batman with one of my favorite lines of all time.
Jingle bells, Batman smelt, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel, and the Joker got away.
Robin is trying to convince Bats that Gotham will be safe from the Christmas holidays and they can take the night off. But Batman, being the Dark Knight detective, feels that a quick patrol is in order, and his intuition proves correct. The Joker has escaped from Arkham yet again, and he's gone on a rampage, and he kidnaps Commissioner Gordon, Summer Gleason, and Detective Harvey Bullock, and challenges Batman to find them before the stroke of midnight, in which they'll be dumped into a vat of chemicals and been taken care of. This was one of the more fun and slightly campy episodes of Batman the Animated Series in my opinion, especially with Batman getting a pie to the face by the Joker. Eventually the Joker is beaten, and as he bemoans his latest defeat, he ends up with a
Bah humbug.
He ends up back in Arkham, and he comically and maniacally laughs all the way to the end of the episode, and finishes up with a
Merry Christmas.
X-Men. Have yourself a Morlock Christmas. Even in the often dark and depressing world of the X-Men, they too get to celebrate the Christmas holidays. Minus Wolverine, who is being a complete and utter grouch. Storm and Jubilee have taken him for some Christmas shopping, which does nothing to quell his mood. Whilst there, they run into the Morlocks, who are in desperate need to save young Leech, who is very sick, with his powers out of control, and the Morlocks being refused medical care because they're mutants. Storm, who is the leader of the Morlocks, is given an icy reception given that she is barely around for the Morlocks, but she is determined to help Leech, and she convinces a very reluctant Wolverine, despite his objections, to have a blood infusion, which will help keep Leech alive, at least until Beast can arrive on the scene and save Leech. Storm then decides to relinquish her leadership of the Morlocks, and Callisto is once again restored as the leader. Wolverine is more than happy to have helped save Leech, and he embraces the holiday spirit. This episode of X-Men wasn't really big on the action, but it was more high-end drama, and it made it an interesting episode, which ended on a happy note, given that it is the season to be jolly. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Deck the Halls. Now there were two Christmas episodes that I had to choose from, and I went with this one. And this was largely due to the appearances of legendary boxer Evander Holyfield and the really awkward but hilarious Ronald Reagan impersonator. Will goes out of his way to help Ashley experience a real Christmas as she's never experienced one herself. He helps decorate the mansion in an extravagant and in a very Will Smith kind of way, much to the annoyance of Uncle Phil and Aunt Vivian, and the neighbours, including Holyfield, who engages in a hilarious confrontation with Will. Ashley is about to give up on the Christmas spirit until a group of young kids stop by the house and sing a Christmas carol, inspired by the house that they say is the best decorated in the neighbourhood, leaving Ashley a very happy girl, and it gets the whole neighbourhood into the Christmas spirit. This episode was peak Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, with Will's trademark humour, Uncle Phil's funny reactions to Will's hijinks, and Jeffrey's great sarcastic wit. A very happy Christmas in the Banks residence. Saved by the Bell, Home for Christmas, Parts 1 and 2. Okay, now this is 2 episodes, but I'm going to count it as one as the episodes are direct and they're back to back. The Bayside crew are working holiday jobs for the Christmas holidays when Zach, as he always does, meets a girl named Laura, whom instantly rejects him as she feels Zach is making fun of homeless people. He apologizes and he does manage to win her back. Then there's a homeless man whom Slater has just helped with wrapping presents in the mall until he passes out, with both Zack and Slater helping him get revived before he's taken to the hospital. The homeless guy that passed out turned out to be Laura's dad. Now things seem to be going along very nicely as Zack and Laura go on their date, until a sweater goes missing and Laura is accused of being the culprit. It turns out it was just one big misunderstanding, as Kelly had it put away and she was planning to surprise Laura. And then finally Laura and her dad end up staying at Zach's parents' house for Christmas, with his mum playing host and then being allowed to stay put until they're able to get back on their feet with new jobs. This was a very cheesy but lovable 2 episodes from the Saved by the Bell crew, all in the spirit of the holiday season. Sister Sister, Christmas. A dose of twin magic as Tia and Tamara celebrate the Christmas holidays. Their grandfather Jimmy drops by the house for a visit, but it is not as rosy as it seems, as Jimmy reveals to Lisa that he owes money to a loan shark, and then Lisa is able to help Jimmy get a job at the mall to help pay back what he owes. Unfortunately, Tia ends up giving her and Tamara's half of their holiday savings, and Lisa gives the other half to help pay the debt. Once Ray finds out about Jimmy's debt problems, he is of course absolutely furious, but Jimmy didn't want to burden Ray with his debt issues, so he took the job at the mall to help pay off what he owes. Jimmy and Ray have a heart-to-heart and they call a truce. Jimmy does atone for his mistakes and he gives back the twins and Lisa the money that they used to help him out. And on top of things, he also gets Ray his Swim Phantom bicycle. And all is well in the Landry Campbell household. Now, as far as Christmas episodes go, this is not quite an all-timer by any means, but the guest appearance of the late great Sherman Helmsley made for a very decent Christmas episode for Sister Sister. Ghostbusters, Xmas marks the spot. So the Ghostbusters get in on the act with their Christmas adventure. Whilst finishing off their latest case on Christmas Eve, the Ghostbusters encounter a disturbance on the hill, which actually ends up being a time warp, sending them back to the past, and the era of the infamous miser Ebenezer Scrooge. Scrooge is being visited by the 3 ghosts of Christmas, and then the Ghostbusters show up. They entrap them and leave Scrooge a very happy bunny. However, by trapping the 3 ghosts of Christmas, the Ghostbusters return to their timeline, and Christmas is now non-existent, and everybody is in a foul mood for the holidays. Realizing their mistake, the Ghostbusters have to stand in for the captured ghosts of Christmas, whilst Egon enters the containment unit to try and rescue them, and at the same time he must avoid all the other ghosts that they have captured. The mission is a success, and the 3 ghosts return to their timeline and they resume with visiting Ebenezer Scrooge. All is well back in the Ghostbusters timeline and they toast to Christmas.
And to all, a good night.
Garfield, a Christmas special. Now, this wasn't part of Garfield and Friends, but a one-off special in a series of several Garfield specials. It's Christmas Eve morning, and after waking up from a dream of eating several lasagnas and receiving a machine capable of producing any gift that he desires, Garfield wakes up, only to be told by John that they'll be visiting his relatives, much to Garfield's annoyance, which even ends up in a funny musical number in which Garfield simply just doesn't care. Now, whilst at the farm, Garfield meets the relatives, including the parents, his younger brother Doc Boy, and his grandmother, whom instantly bonds with him and tells him of her past husband who had a love for the holiday season. The family have to sit through another yearly reading of Binky the Clown Who Saved Christmas. Odie quietly slips out the house at night and Garfield follows him, seeing him making a gift which involves a hand rake. Garfield then stumbles on some letters that are around 50 years old. On Christmas Day, the family open up their presents, and the letters that Garfield found are for Grandma, containing love notes from her late husband, detailing how they met and when they got married. Odie then reveals his secret gift for Garfield which he was making, which is a back scratcher, to which Garfield is very excited and grateful, and he gives Odie a hug, revealing his softer side, and then learning the true meaning of Christmas, which is
Christmas. It's not the giving. It's not the getting, it's the loving.
Now, this was your standard basic Garfield episode with a few extras thrown in, from Grandma's reminiscing of her husband to Odie doing a nice deed for Garfield, especially considering how Garfield is usually mean to him. There are a few musical numbers in this episode, and this is more of a sit back and relax outing for Garfield, with the added touch of it being a Christmas episode. Living Single, Let It Snow. The gang head up to Overton's family house up in the mountains, only for things to slowly unravel as all of Overton's past Christmas traditions are no longer around. And to top things off, him and Sinclair are constantly getting prevented from doing any of the activities that they had planned by a Mountie. Max and Kyle agree to put their usual couple bickering on hold to enjoy some saucy Christmas escapades. Regine has brought along a date, Brent, but it quickly goes downhill when she accidentally reveals to him that he's getting written out of the soap opera that she's working on, and Regine isn't really all that into him. So Brent is initially down, but then he immediately gets over his sorrows by getting very friendly with Khadija. And Regine, of course, handles it very well. Overton is still down about all his usual Christmas traditions gone, but eventually he does get cheered up by Sinclair. Regine apologizes to Sinclair for her behavior, and as a truce, she sets up Khadija with the Mountie. This episode ends with the gang enjoying a lovely roller coaster ride. Now, as far as all-time episodes go for Living Single, this isn't necessarily one of them, but the appearance of Spin City star Michael Boatman was actually cool. I actually loved his rapport with Queen Latifah. It was a decent episode with a few laugh-out-loud moments. A very happy Christmas for the gang. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I'm dreaming of a White Ranger. Kim is down as she won't be celebrating Christmas with her mum, and Aisha and the others do their best to cheer her up. Kimberly also befriends a young girl named Becky, who is also sad that her dad won't be there to hear her sing at the festivities. So she has that in common with Kim, who does try to cheer her up. Meanwhile, Lord Zed and Rita plot to ruin the holiday season when Zed makes a weapon called the Hypnospin, designed to brainwash young children. Rito Rivolto is sent to hold Santa captive and force him to make the toys and have them sent to the children. The Rangers respond to Zordon's emergency, but they'll have to go rescue Santa without their powers. So they comically resort to hitting Rito and Gola with snowballs, and with a little help from the elves, the bad guys are sent packing. Oh, and the bad guys also couldn't use their powers like the Rangers, so that's why this happened. Very comical stuff. Young Becky is then reunited with her dad thanks to Kim, and then Kim shares a tender moment with Tommy under the mistletoe. And then on top of that, she receives a nice pleasant surprise with her mom showing up to spend Christmas with her. The Rangers then join the kids in singing Silent Night, and they end the episode with a very big Friends, the one with Phoebe's dad. It was shortly after Ross discovered Rachel's feelings for him, and it was so close, but then Ross did that list and then it all went pear-shaped. And she is still very angry at him, but then he suggests making a list of her own to make things even. Ross being Ross annoys everyone by trying to prove every point in Rachel's list is actually wrong. Phoebe learns through her grandmother that her mom actually lied about her real dad. He was actually a pharmacist and not a worshipped surgeon in Bruma. She is given a picture of her dad and decides to go see him. Joey and Chandler accompany her for support, but then she gets cold feet and then decides not to go through with it, as she feels he won't live up to the idea that she has of him in her head. Meanwhile, at Monica's apartment, Ross has accidentally broken the heater knob, and as a result, the whole apartment gets overheated, which makes for an uncomfortable environment for the party that is happening. Despite several attempts to get the superintendent, Mr. Trigger, to fix it, they are unsuccessful and they have to endure the heat. Joey is the unlikely savior as he comically turns off the radiator from underneath, something that the others did not think to do. The episode ends when Joey and Chandler are giving the gang their Christmas presents, and they are very, very awful. I mean, wiper blades, toilet seat covers, soft drinks, and condoms ribbed for Monica's pleasure. Those were very bad. Now, as successful as Friends was, the Christmas episodes weren't necessarily the standouts, but they were still funny and entertaining. For me, Joy fixing the boiler was the big gag of the episode. Seeing Phoebe get emotional about her dad was rather moving, as it showed a more sensitive side as it relates to her family, as opposed to her usual quirkiness. As far as any real Christmas festivities, this episode was a bit light in that area, but it was more the gags that made this Christmas outing for Friends one of the more memorable episodes. And that was my 10 Christmas episodes from some of my favorite shows. Not necessarily my favorites ever, but as it is the holiday season, I chose these episodes to embrace the Christmas holiday spirit. Christmas, after all, is a time for giving praise to the Lord above, sharing gifts, and spending time with your loved ones. There is no holiday quite like Christmas. If you made it this far to the end of this video, I want to say thank you very much, and to have a very Merry Christmas. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video.